All right, Nuggets fans, welcome in to Pickaxe and Roll, brought to you by our good friends here at Mile High Sports. I am your host, Ryan Blackburn at NBA Blackburn on Twitter, part of the Mile High Sports Podcast Network, and I am here. I am ready. I am excited to chat about the Denver Nuggets winning and staying alive against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Final score 119-107 in Game 6. We got a Game 7 on Sunday, folks. That's going to be crazy. But more importantly, we've got 2 days off, as David Adelman and Jamal Murray and others would say. Just a very exciting moment for the Nuggets fan base, for the Nuggets organization. I think validating the vision that Josh Kroenke had in a lot of different ways, that, hey, this was in there. This was available. This was available for everybody to see. Just needed to be brought out again. And holy cow, did Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, and everybody else in between make the right plays, make the correct plays to get it done in this one. I thought everybody pretty much played well except Russ, but even Russ had some great moments defensively. And just really nice to see the team come together in this moment rather than fall apart. But you kind of knew that they would come together, like you kind of knew that they would bring it and amp it up, because that's just who they are. They are the resilient Denver Nuggets who never quit, who never allow an inch in these kinds of moments, even when they should probably do so. If it's the right thing for them to do physically, everybody assumes that they'll give up. Nah, that's just not who they are. They just step up to the plate and make plays happen. On this episode, we're going to talk about Game 6. We're going to talk about Jokic and Murray. I'll talk about Christian Braun, the injury to Aaron Gordon, Julian Strawther, and the best 2 words in sports, Game 7. Very excited to get into it here. Thank you, everybody, for stopping by. If you can, it'd be awesome if you could hit that like button, that subscribe button on the show. Would really, really appreciate it. Let's get the spread out there so everybody can share in the glory of the Nuggets winning Game 6. All right, let's get into it. Start it here. Denver had a good start in this game. First quarter, I thought that everybody was pretty locked in. I think that the Nuggets, just in Game 1 and everything, Game 1 especially, they really surprised everybody. But over the course of the series, OKC's become less and less surprised with some of the starts that they've had. And OKC, I think, has jumped out to a lot of leads. Denver then jumped out to a lead in this one in the first quarter. And the way that Jokic was playing, the way that I think I don't know if Aaron Gordon made a 3 in that quarter, but I know Christian Braun was attacking aggressively. I know Jamal Murray was getting set up. I think Murray had 11 points on 5 shots in that first quarter. And Aaron Gordon had 5 assists. I do remember that. But everything was clicking for Denver. The offense was going well. It seemed like they were in a really good rhythm. They scored 30 points in the first 9.5 minutes of the first quarter. Reserves came in. I thought Westbrook had a really tough moment in that first, the end of the first quarter, start of the second. Just kind of took Denver out of the rhythm that they had been building. And that was, I think, a precursor to Julian Strawther stepping up in the third quarter, but we'll get to that in just a bit. I thought that Denver stayed the course, even though they went down, even though they got down in that second quarter. It never really felt like they were out of it, despite the fact that OKC had turned what was a pretty large Denver lead. I think it was 10 points, that 30 to 20 spread in the first quarter, to a 12-point OKC lead. That's a 22-point swing. And they did it through patience, through shot making on the perimeter. Cason Wallace made some shots. Lou Dort made a couple shots. Chet Holmgren made a couple shots. And they were running in transition and cutting and Also, I thought Shea Gilgeous-Alexander was great when he needed to be, especially in that first half. But then Shea picks up a fourth foul. Like, for whatever reason, he had three fouls, and Mark Dagnall, with about 3.5 minutes left to go, had a choice. He said, okay, do I take out Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, my best player, or do I try to go for the kill? And he tried to go for the kill, and it did not work. It actually backfired in a spectacular fashion as Shea picks up the fourth foul with about 90 seconds left to go. And the Nuggets immediately went on like a 12-0 run or so. I think it was while Shea was out there as well, but they went on this 12-0 run to even up the game effectively. Lou Dort hit a three at the buzzer to put OKC up three. But even with that, Shea had four fouls. It felt like Denver had captured a lot of momentum at that point, and they were just going to bide their time and wait for that third quarter to hit. So Denver's down three heading into the half, and then they come out of there and thought they'd deliver. Like Jokic and Murray, especially, just getting downhill, doing all the things they need to do to attack in the lane and attack Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. He had to be very judicious and cautious in terms of getting out of the way at times. And that allowed Denver to create some good shots in that third quarter. But it wasn't just because of OKC's foul trouble. It was because Denver was getting downhill. And they also did a great job of preventing OKC from getting to the spots on the floor that they wanted to in the third quarter. OKC had just 21 points in that third, and Denver's defense did really amp up at that level. But it wasn't until Julian Strawther came into the game that things really changed. Because Denver, like Shea exited in the middle of the third quarter, and there was an opportunity for Denver to take a lead. They didn't do it. They didn't really separate in that moment until Julian Strawther got in the game, started moving off ball a little bit, and then hit some big shots. He hit one at the top of the 45 angle, the right wing. He hit one from there. He hit one from the right corner in the fourth quarter. He hit one from the left corner in the end of the third quarter. He also had this nice baseline cut that got right under the rim, and Murray found him, and then Strawther catches the ball, immediately fires it up off the backboard in. Like, just these really smart plays, but also like just plays that you need to make as a shot maker. And it was great to see because Denver did not have, like, Russ has been struggling over the course of these past few, especially from a shot making perspective. Peyton's not a shot maker. He'll make shots, but he's not a shot maker. There's a difference. And the only guy who could really do that off the bench was Julian. And lo and behold, he did. And it was very cool to see. Very important moment for him. He was getting into it with the crowd, just very pumped, very excited. And every time he hits a shot, it feels like Denver's getting this new breath of fresh air because it's somewhere that they hadn't gotten any of that before. Just making important plays. And he did it at home. We'll see if he can do it again on the road, but I'm not as worried about that. But like important plays that got Denver an 8-point lead, I'm pretty sure, heading into the fourth quarter. Then Murray hits a three at the beginning of the fourth, and the Nuggets just keep going downhill. I think Aaron hit a shot. I think Michael Porter didn't play in the fourth quarter, but that wasn't really his fault. He had played 29 of the first 36 minutes. He kind of played within his means, didn't necessarily do anything crazy, but had a steal and a block and had multiple threes. It was good to see. But Christian Brown also got downhill and did some great things. He played great defense. Peyton Watson hustle block defensively. Russell Westbrook doing a little bit better in this section of the game, a little bit more cutting, a little bit more attacking of the rim and avoiding some turnovers in some cases. But then when Jokic came back in, it really was curtains. Jokic in this one delivered exactly in the way the Nuggets needed him to. He stayed efficient throughout the entire game and stayed effective throughout the entire game. I made this point last night on Locked On. I think what Jokic did in this game was amazing. And he didn't take that many shots. He didn't have to. He was obviously getting so much attention from OKC that he was generating way better shots for everybody else throughout this game than he had even in game 5. It was wonderful to see. But the way that he leveraged the defense, the way that he put pressure and applied pressure on a variety of these guys was very, very important. He kind of played Isaiah Hartenstein off the floor a little bit in that second half. Chet Holmgren had a great game himself, but it didn't matter. Big Jalen Williams, was not as effective in guarding Jokic as he had been in previous stints. Just a really good moment for Jokic, delivering, getting downhill, making some incredible shots. But more than anything, setting the table for others. The pass that he had underneath to Christian Brown in the clutch was huge. And the pass that he had out to Strawther for the 3 just set him up for a perfectly wide open corner 3-pointer was very important as well, right in the shooting pocket, as he always does. And Denver won. Denver took the momentum that they had gotten from Strawther at the end of the third. They never let it go in the fourth until the very end, where they just started turning the ball over a little bit, but order was restored. Russell Westbrook got a driving layup. And it was great. It was great to watch Denver make that play, make the plays that they needed to in order to survive in this one. It's another elimination game that they've had to survive. The last 2 that they have played, they've been up, it was like 35 in game 7 versus the Clippers, and then 16 to 17 to 18 in this game against the Thunder. They have shown up in a big way and really played well in these circumstances. And it's just really exciting for them to see, and excited for Denver overall that they're able to at least force this and put this into perspective. Need to talk about Murray a little bit more. 42 minutes. He was a team high plus 28. I keep trying to figure out exactly why the plus minus is so crazy with Murray on the floor versus when he's off the floor. Like, he is the new Jokic for these playoffs for Denver. I don't know why. I don't get it. But Murray's plus 28 and the Nuggets won by 12. You can do the math there. It's minus 16 when he's off the floor in just 6 minutes. But for whatever reason, the Nuggets have not been able to function without him. And he wasn't perfect last night. There's no doubt about it. But he had 25 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, was 9 of 19, making important plays, but also taking on the responsibility, playing some good defense on occasion. Not all the time, but like other guys stepped up on the defensive end in this one. And just being a leader for Denver in such an important way. They needed it so badly. And it's just one of those things that will get lost in the shuffle. Like, hypothetically, let's say Denver loses game 7 on Sunday. I'm not going to just forget that they stepped up in game 6 and that Murray, despite being sick, stepped up in game 6 and really helped force things. The way that Denver has approached these entire playoffs, I think, has changed my perspective on just who they are. We knew a bit about who they are, but they needed to remind us a little bit. They needed to show that fight and that resilience and that want to was still there. And Murray, I think, is at the center of that, because like he had I'd say a solid season in the regular season. He had a poor start to the regular season, but just overall, he, I think, was pretty good. And then kind of December, January, February, he was much more steady at that point. And then March really took off and then kind of slipped up a little bit with some injuries at the end. But he has showed, just as much as Jokic, those two especially, but Aaron Gordon has stepped up in a big way. A lot of different guys have stepped up in a big way. But at the core of it, I really do think are Jokic and Murray, where everybody else looks to them for the responsibility. Everybody else, like, it's just what happens when you are in this situation over and over and over again. you always have the responsibility. You always have, like, people are looking to you. You're the one that calms everybody down, even if you're not the most efficient player. And Murray's not. You're still going to be the guy that the team looks to set the table, to put yourselves into the right position to succeed. And they did. They were able to be successful. The 11 points that he had in the first quarter were such a big deal in terms of getting Denver off to a big start. And then at the beginning of the third quarter, in the beginning of the fourth quarter, every time Murray, like, he wasn't the one that closed quarters really well, but he started quarters really well for Denver. And that was a big difference maker. It was just very, very big. Other guys closed quarters very well, but Murray was the guy that really got them off to these good starts. And especially after just getting a little bit of a break, he was able to do exactly what the Nuggets needed from him. And like, we're going to give copious amounts of credit to Jokic, to Julian Strawther. Christian Brown's a name that I haven't mentioned enough, who played really well last night. But Murray, like, to lock in that moment, this was his flu game. This was the one where he was clearly feeling very sick, had popped up on the injury report as questionable. He had to fight through it. There was really not a question that he was going to play. It was just going to be how much he could play, and he played 42 minutes. So credit to him for stepping up in this moment. All right, when we come back, we're going to chat about another couple of guys, as well as the best two words in sports. Coming up next, Game 7. We'll be right back here on Pickaxe and Roll. All right, we are back. Pickaxe and Roll, Ryan Blackburn here. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. Apologies for the slight delay there. Wanted to chat about Jokic a little bit, as somebody who, like, he has just figured things out, I think, against OKC. And to be clear, I think Shea has also figured some stuff out against Denver. These two amazing games by these guys in a row. Shea really had a pretty good game 4 as well. So he's been good in game 4, game 5, and game 6. Denver a little lucky that they got into foul trouble. It was clear fouls, clear situations where he's the one wrapped around other people, grabbing them. But he only played 35 minutes, and that was a big deal for Denver because he needed to play only 35 in this one. Had he played 40, this game might have been a little bit closer because Denver went on that 12-0 run without him on the floor effectively. So Jokic, being the Iron Man that he is, Murray played the most minutes in the entire game, which is insane. But Jokic played 41, a little bit less than what he normally plays. So maybe he'll be rested heading into game 7. Although, hey, 2 days off. We'll talk about that, of course. But 29 points, 14 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals, 1 block, 1 turnover. The turnovers are the key here because when Denver is at their best is when the opposing team is turning the ball over more than they are. And up until the final couple minutes of the game where Denver was not necessarily handling things well, they didn't turn the ball over more than the opposing team. They didn't turn the ball over more than OKC. OKC had more turnovers at that point. And the fact that Denver was able to kind of dig it out and avoid those mishaps, I think is really important because OKC is so good at winning the possession game. But if you're Denver and you can keep that turnover margin close, you can grab more offensive rebounds. You can I don't know, like hit more shots and prevent them from making as many threes as you. Like Denver won in basically every category. The only one that they didn't win was the 2-point shooting. And I'm not surprised about that because OKC's found ways to shoot 2-pointers against Denver, whether it's Shea going off the dribble, whether it's guys driving in transition, whether it's the bigs kind of getting those dump off passes. They've been really efficient from there. But OKC only shot 11 of 40 from 3-point range, 27.5%. Not necessarily great shots all the time, but kind of like Denver in game 5, OKC's outside shooting once again kind of betrayed them in game 6. So I wonder if Denver, like we'll see what happens in a game 7 and whether that flips again from a role player shooting perspective. But back to Jokic. Games 2, 3, and 4 were the most I've ever seen him struggle individually. 2 was understandable, given that everybody, like, it's not really a surprise that everybody was struggling. OKC went up by 1,000,000 points early, and Denver, I got to be honest, didn't really care to win that game that much. They had already stolen game 1. I really do think that they were very comfortable with the split coming back, and Jokic was a part of that. Game 3, where everybody else stepped up around Jokic and kind of picked them up, I thought he was more bothered in that game than most any that I've ever seen him play. Thought it might have been his worst individual playoff game offensively. Defensively, he was still very good, as he has been for this entire series. But offensively, he struggled. Game 4, he did struggle, but I think it was more about the outside shooting and more, not the outside shooting, but like just like missing shots. Not necessarily anything crazy that OKC was doing. It was, he got the turnovers down. I think he only had 2 turnovers in that game 4. And then in game 5, it was pretty clear that he had caught all the way up to what OKC was doing and figured out what they were trying to accomplish against them and was able to battle against that. Had a massively amazing game, 44 points. It didn't ultimately work out, but Denver could feel comfortable knowing that in game 6 last night, Jokic was going to show up and play great. And he did. He was great. He was legitimately great in that one. And it gives everybody a lot of confidence that he's finally figured some stuff out. He has finally put that into position. And it does seem like he is ready to deliver a strong performance for game 7, which is all that you can really ask for at this point. If your stars show up, that's all you can really ask for. You're going to hope that role players show up in game 7, but if it's stars, then we'll just have to see how far that gets Denver and how many of the OKC role players actually show up in that moment. It might be all of them. It might be some of them. It might be none of them. We'll find out. Tony B says, I hope the NBA gives out the MVP to SGA right before game 7. That might give the Nuggets even more of an edge. It is kind of weird, right? Game 5 happened, and when they didn't do it then, I was shocked. They could have done it before game 2. They have the votes. They have the tallies. This isn't the question of whether they know. SGA is going to win the MVP. I think everybody knows that. But they have been waiting. I wonder why. I actually don't really know why they have waited so long, but it's pretty clear that this is going to be, 42 Ultra says MVP has to be announced on TNT. Is that an actual rule? That's insane. So the MVP is so did they screw that up? I believe you that it has to be announced on TNT, but that seems insane. And also that they would put this series on ESPN and ABC so often if they knew that this was going to be an issue. So kind of wild. That's a very weird thing to have happen, but hey, is what it is. When's the last time that this series was on TNT, folks? Let me know in the comments if you know. But if that is the case, then yeah, it won't be announced in Game 7, and it'll be something that kind of like OKC fans and OKC the organization are probably like, all right, cool. We don't need to think about that right now. We just gotta get through Game 7. And I'm kind of like, man, it would be pretty funny if if SGA had to accept an MVP award right before he played the most important game of his entire NBA career, and Jokic had to stare at him and watch him win it. That would be pretty wild, but doesn't look like that's going to happen. And if that's the case, then Denver, like, they're just going to have to go in there and win it naturally. But fortunately, Denver's got a couple days off, and they clearly need it. Aaron Gordon clearly needs the off time. He hurt his hamstring last night in the game. I'm not sure exactly when it was he hurt it. There were a couple of loose balls that he was going for that he kind of awkwardly pulled up for, and it just wouldn't surprise me if just wouldn't surprise me if that's when he actually hurt it and just kind of shifted. And I hope that it's nothing too serious, but look, any hamstring injury can be serious, any single one. So it's tough, man. Like, he has fought so hard for this team for this entire playoff run, and like, he's battled injuries during the entire regular season. It's been horrible, but the way that he's played, it has, I think, prevented him, like, with as physical as he plays, as downhill as he tries to play all the time, it just caught up to him in this particular year. But he's got to get through it one more time at least in order to survive a Game 7. I do think that he'll play, but it's not going to be fun, and he's going to be he is going to be in a lot of discomfort. He's going to be in a lot of pain waiting for this thing. So it's going to be unfortunate. But hey, this is why you have Michael Porter Jr. This is why you have Peyton Watson. This is why Julian Strawther stepping up might allow Denver to play small. And here's the thing, like, OKC is the perfect team to play small against, guys. Like, I know that it may not be great. It may not feel great, but OKC is the perfect team to play small against. So if they have to go with Christian Brown at the 4, if they have to go with lineups like Murray, Russ, Strawther, Brown, Jokic, which they did last night, they can. Like, it's not necessarily something that they have, like, they'll be okay. But Porter playing at the 4 is perfectly reasonable. Watson playing at the 4 is perfectly reasonable. But Aaron Gordon's going to play as much as he can, and we'll see what he provides. Mike Benoik with the super chat. He says, LFG, Ryan, are Booth and Malone watching, you think? Are other players in the league now interested in Denver? Are some of our guys safe now after wins? It's a good question. I don't think that Michael Malone could quit watching this team. Like, I think that he is probably watching somewhere. He might be angry about it. It might be uncomfortable for him, but I think he would definitely still be watching. As for Booth, I don't know. He probably is watching. Like, he's given so much of his life to this Nuggets organization. He's been, like, he was with the Nuggets since, I think, 2017, I believe was the year. So he'd been around for 8 years, and I don't think that, believe me, I don't think that he missed that Julian Strawther was the one that gave Denver the lift in in this last game. So that's all I'll say. Are other players now interested in Denver? I don't know. It's about more than that. Denver doesn't have a practice facility. They don't have great, like, amenities. They don't have a great situation for players coming in that really woos and wows them. But if they weren't interested in Denver when they went to Game 7 last year or won the entire thing the year before, it kind of shock me if they were actually interested now as opposed to then. But Denver should be working the free agency markets as much as they can and try to get some free agents to buy into what the Nuggets are doing. But the way the cap rules are, I'm not necessarily sure if it really helps. Like, there's only so much that Denver can do. And are some guys safe now after the wins? We'll talk about that after the season. whether that's after Sunday or after the Western Conference Finals. But I think that, yeah, this has kind of changed my perspective. This entire run has changed my perspective. But thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Okay. So, game 7. Can Denver win it? Of course. Of course they can. They've already won game 1 of this series. They've won they were in game 5. If they shoot the ball straight, then they will probably win game 5. Oh, hey. Sorry, Cedric. You had a super chat as well. Cedric with the super chat. You think we see more Julian minutes, and praying for AG, man. Yeah, I totally agree. This is going to be one of those that, like, did Julian just earn a whole bunch of time, or did he step up in a tough moment to win this particular game? I think it's probably the latter. I'd be shocked, honestly, if he played more than 10 minutes in game 7. But the way that he played, like, so here's what's going to happen. OKC's going to find better ways to attack him, to go at him in game 7, especially on their home floor. Julian is kind of foul happy. I think the coaching staff, the Nuggets coaching staff, knows that as well. So I think that SGA and Jalen Williams and guys like that are going to attack him anytime that he's out there to try to get him back off the floor. But it's kind of funny, man. Like, if they're going out of their way to really try to deal with Denver's 8th man, then that's a good thing for the other 7 guys. It means that they have less of a burden at that point. If they're going to focus so hard on Julian Strawther, then I think the other guys can feel like, okay, well, he could take that burden for those 5 to 6 minutes that he's on the court, but we'll worry about the other 42 to 43 as opposed to the full 48. That's not entirely how it works, but there's something there. So we'll see. And definitely hoping for AG. He said crossing your fingers. I don't know why I said praying. That's definitely a crossing your fingers. So it's I'm tired, man. Did my best. I think that the Nuggets can win game 7. I think that they can do it. The question is what OKC is going to bring, because I think at these teams' maximum level, I think that OKC is still the better team, and they are at home. But Denver, from what they have shown, can drag OKC down a little bit, and OKC has shown that they can make mistakes. Jalen Williams, like, here's the thing. J-Dub went 3 of 16 in the game last night. There's no reason that he really went 3 of 16. He just missed shots. He was wild out of control. And the Nuggets did a pretty good job. Like, Jokic did a good job of bothering him, of disrupting him at times when he was driving. But, like, those are shots that J-Dub and an all-star should probably make. And the fact that he didn't, I think, really allowed Denver to kind of get downhill a little bit. Isaiah Hartenstein didn't make as much of an impact in this last game. Lou Dort was okay, but not great. 2 of 7 from 3 is not great. Will he go 4 of 7 from 3 at home? He might. So that could be a big switch. Alex Caruso, somebody that has been great for them defensively, making shots. Could he make more at home? Aaron Wiggins went 0 of 4. Will he make more at home? Maybe. We'll see. It is a game 7. This is the first game 7 for a lot of those guys. The 3 guys that is not the first game 7 for, 2 of them were in the bubble, Shea and Lou Dort. Both were in the bubble, OKC versus Houston. Russell Westbrook played in that game and actually made a big difference in that game. So we'll see if he could pop back up for a game 7 performance on the road versus OKC. That would be a big deal, I think, if Russ was able to do that. And then the other guy is Isaiah Hartenstein, who had a game 7 last year between Indiana and New York. So we will see what happens, but I do think that obviously Denver has the competitive edge from the veteran standpoint. They've been there before. They know what this is going to take. But I just remember I remember the 2 series that Denver played back in 2019 when they were just getting their feet wet as a young group, as a young contending team. When they played against San Antonio, it was way closer than it should have been. San Antonio, using their experience, kind of got things a little bit closer, but they clearly didn't have the talent to match up with the Nuggets. Portland, the year after, did. They had the talent to match up with the Nuggets, and they had the veteran experience, and they were ultimately able to take that game from Denver because the Nuggets didn't perform up to snuff in that situation. Could this kind of be a reverse situation of that, where Denver is the veteran team now? They're the one that knows what to expect. They understand what they're going to get from OKC at this point. Or can OKC continue to surprise them? Can they make the shots that are wide open? Can they deliver in these really tough moments? This is for the season. This is the first opportunity that OKC has where their season could be over. How will they handle that? I think is a fair question. So we'll see what happens, but I'm very excited. I'll probably do another podcast. I might do one tomorrow morning. We'll just have to see. But for now, that is going to do it for this episode of Pickaxe and Roll, brought to you by our good friends here at Mile High Sports. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. Always appreciate the love and support, folks. It always makes the day to see folks hanging out here, having a good time, and chatting some nuggets with me on a Friday morning. Thank you so much. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button on the way out. I will talk to you guys very soon.